Welcome everyone, this is Wyduck here again, this time with Game 2 of this Best of 5 series from the Russian Star League 2013 tournament. This time on Belshir Vestige, we've got in the bottom right, spawning as the purple Zerg, representing Team Acer, we've got Scarlett. And her opponent, and Victor, in a very entertaining Game 1. Spawning in the top left as the Green Terran, representing Natives Vinsur, we've got Strelok. And Strelok was able to convincingly win Game 1. It looked like for a while that the game was going to be very close, and Strelok was able to pull ahead. And now it's going to be up to Scarlett to try and figure out a way to solve this very veteran Terran player. And Belshir Vestige is a very, very neutral map. A lot of players do like to play it. It's not like Derelict Watcher that gets vetoed a lot. Strelok is opening up with the barracks at his ramp. Scarlett looks like she's going to be going for 15 hatch. There we go. The drone is going to be sent out. Her Overlord is halfway across the map now. And I guess on Belshir Vestige, one thing to note is this third base does have 2 entrances. It has the ramp and also has this area with the destructible rocks. And these destructible rocks, if you can destroy it, makes it a lot easier to enter into your opponent's third. And it looks like Strelok's saving up a lot of resources. He's getting the orbital command. I think he's going for the command center on the low ground. Yes, there it is. The SCV is already going there. Strelok is sending an SCV to scout. And Scarlett has to micro this Overlord away. This Marine was on a collision course. Going to be able to peck down that health bar quite a bit. And now that Overlord's going to be going away, but actually Strelok's going to be really aggressive. He's going to use his Marine to walk around the ramp to target down this Overlord. And as a Terran player, you have to be very careful. Yes, you can pick off this Overlord as long as the Overlord doesn't escape to high ground. It looks like it will be able to escape. Yes, the Overlord is now safe. It's hiding in this shrubbery area. But I guess one of the problems is even if the shrubbery area wasn't here, if this Marine stays out here for a very long time and Scarlett decides to send a few Zerglings, that Marine will get picked off. Then that trade for the Overlord doesn't seem like that good of a deal. It's still a good deal. You'd trade a Marine for an Overlord generally. 50 minerals to 100, especially if you could supply block your opponent. But I've seen it before where Terrans are very aggressive. They want to focus down on that first Overlord, and then the Marines get caught out of position, and they get eaten up. But neither of those scenarios is happening today. Scarlett's actually going to be going for 2-base Roach. And this is a little bit aggressive. She only has 1 extractor. Roaches don't need that much gas. So this timing attack is going to have to do significant damage to Strelok. Strelok really hasn't scouted this.
Upgrade complete.
So unfortunately for Strelok, if he doesn't identify this quickly, because he's going for a very common factory reactor build, if he doesn't identify this and he starts building a whole bunch of Hellions, Hellions are horrible against Roaches. They're slow attack speed. They don't do increased damage. They don't have that much life. And this SCV is still not going to be able to get in here, so Strelok is really in the dark. Strelok's not seeing a lot of Zerglings, and he doesn't see Zergling speed either, so that might tip him off that something's going on. But he's still building. Oh, no, he's no longer building Hellions, so good move by Strelok, able to identify that something strange is going on. He's moved that reactor, or he's... Yeah, the reactor is just going to be on the barracks. I don't even think he moved it, and he's just going to have 1 Hellion, and... So this is going to be a lot better for Strelok, rather than if he had built a whole bunch of Hellions, but he's still in a very difficult situation. His supply depot wall is not finished. It's only half complete. And now the SCVs are being pulled off the line. This Hellion is going to go up in flames. And now these 8 roaches are going to go to town. They're able to melt down a lot of these Marines, focusing down on these repairing SCVs as well. With 6 SCV kills currently, and that number is going to rise to 7. And the roaches are still coming in here. They're still streaming in here with a total of 8 roaches in this army. This bunker is going to go down in flames, and the 4 Marines are going to have to escape with these 2 SCVs. And now the roaches are slowly waddling themselves up the ramp. We've got a siege tank in siege mode, and this is going to be able to stop this attack, at least temporarily, from going up the ramp. But unfortunately, Strelok is going to have to lift this orbital command at the natural. And so Scarlett has been successful, able to destroy lots of supply depots, the bunkers, and the Marines, and also kill 8 SCVs, and actually been able to supply block her Terran opponent. So very strong roach timing by Scarlett, able to identify the weakness, not seeing a lot of Terran units, and then just going for it. Strelok noticed that there was something strange going on and didn't produce a lot of Hellions, but by that time it was already too late. The roaches were on their way. And now these roaches are going to have to retreat. There's so many Marines, Banshees, and 2 siege tanks. They're not going to be able to stick around, not unless they want to become roach patties. The Banshee able to get a 3rd roach. And roaches obviously are not good against Banshees, but Banshees are very good against roaches. And they're actually, because the Banshee is faster and doesn't have to worry about the land terrain, is going to be able to continuously fall these roaches, get a few more kills, already up to 3 roach kills. And remember, every unit at this point counts. Strelok is behind, so he wants to do everything he can to catch up. Able to kill that 4th roach, and now that Banshee's going to have to withdraw. No, the Banshee has Cloak, and without an Overseer, the Overseer is morphing in, but the Marines are coming in here as well. Strelok's going to push in here, try and do some reciprocal damage. The Queens are retreating with the roaches, as Scarlett was not expecting such a quick counterattack. And the drones are being pulled off the line, just a few of them. The Marines do not have stim or combat shields, so they are a lot weaker, but able to take a lot of damage away from the siege tanks. The Banshee is going to come back in here again, but is going to finally retreat. And this is one of the problems when you don't have stim as a Terran player, and you're stuck deep in the Zerg base, because Zerg units get so much of a bonus to movement speed that tanks and non-stim Marines are so slow. And so when you decide to retreat, you just end up losing a lot of free units to your Zerg opponent. So Scarlett was able to even that out quite a bit. Resources lost is fairly even, but you have to remember Scarlett did damage first, and so that is always going to be in that player's favor, whoever does the damage first, especially doing economic damage. And the supplies show that with a 20 supply advantage. And Strelok's going to try and even out with this Cloak Banshee, but there's a Queen here and there's Overseer, and this Banshee's going to have to retreat. Strelok is getting his 3rd command center and also trying to rebuild this bunker supply depot wall at his natural. And Scarlett's been mining from this 3rd base for a while, but it's not at full saturation. So she's going to have to drone up, but instead she's actually getting a few Mutalisks to add to her small flock that's already at her opponent's natural, but there's so many Marines waiting at the refinery. The Mutalisks able to take off 1 SCV, and they're going to have to... Actually, the Mutalisks are going to just carry themselves into the main. There are no Marines here, no missile turrets, so now these SCVs are complete prey to these Mutalisks. Even more SCVs are going to go down. 6 more go down in the main. Another one is just picked off again. The Marines are finally here, able to scare away this flock, but the Mutalisks have done significant damage. Able to pick off even more SCVs in the natural. There is a Thor here doing splash damage to these Mutalisks. But Scarlett able to kill 8 more SCVs since that initial attack at the main. And now she's secured such a huge lead. She's comfortable. Her 4th hatchery is almost complete. Strelok is still stuck on 2 bases. He does have his 3rd command center complete, but he's not able to move out, especially with those Mutalisks. Even though Mutalisks are not that strong, you have to remember that their use is a hit and run unit. And right now we've got a Banshee harassing the 3rd base of Scarlett, and this Banshee already has 4 kills. I'm a little bit curious why the Banshee's not focusing down on drones instead of focusing down on roaches. But it doesn't matter now. Banshee runs out of cloak, is able to be picked apart by these Mutalisks. As I was saying before, the Mutalisks you have to remember that Mutalisks are hit and run units. And so what they're supposed to be meant for is to hit small packs of units and to run away and to quickly regenerate. So they're not meant to stay in long, prolonged fights. And they can if you have Zerglings and Banelings as reinforcing units. But what Scarlett did there, going from the natural, back to the main, back to the natural, that's what they're meant for. They're perfect for that. They're able to go around the terrain or fly above the terrain, not worry about the terrain obstacles, and pick off workers at will. And because of that, she has such a huge economic advantage. And now she's switching up to Swarm Host as well. She still has a 40 supply advantage. And it looks like these Mutalisks might be going in for another flyby attack. Strelok is going to be landing his 3rd orbital, but Scarlett's already been mining from her 4th for a little bit. And she's also got a lot of static defense as well. So that 4th base won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Scan does go down for Strelok, able to see the macro hatch and the hive. But this is going to be a huge problem because now with the Zerg player on hive tech, all the options are open to Scarlett. And as a Terran player, especially going for mech, one of your advantages is to try to keep your opponent off of hive tech. Because now with hive, there's going to be a lot of Ultralists, Vipers, and all these sorts of units. And now the Swarm Hosts are going to continuously harass because there's not a lot of siege tanks here. The counter to a lot of Swarm Hosts is siege tanks, and there's only 4 here, so these Locusts should be able to do some damage. Able to pick off 1 SCV. Well, that's not great. At the same time, the roaches are going to run up to the ramp, but the supply depot wall has been raised up, and now these roaches are cornered. They're going to be forced to fight, but unfortunately, all these Marines and tanks are going to be able to pick this apart. At the same time, another attack of Mutalisks and another swarm of Locusts are come in here, try to take off these siege tanks, only able to pick off 1. And the Mutalisks are going to have to retreat again, but these Swarm Hosts never quit. One Swarm Host there is dwaddling in here, able to be picked apart for nothing, but now focusing down on these siege tanks. And you have to remember, because Swarm Hosts make units for free whenever you get a hit on an opponent, that's basically a win situation already. And because they were, Scarlett was able to destroy 1 siege tank, and now with the Vipers coming in, pulling in a Thor, but unfortunately, or fortunately, there are enough Locusts to destroy that Thor easily. And this is what I'm talking about. Once the Zerg is on hive tech and you're able to get the Vipers out, pulling in all these Terran units becomes so easy. And it doesn't matter how much range you have, because Abduct is so much longer. Scarlett is actually getting her 6th hatchery, and Strelok is still on 3. Strelok identifies he needs to move out, put some pressure on his Zerg opponent. But I don't think this is going to work out. Strelok is really, really behind. And now he's moving out on creep, and one of the disadvantages of Terran mech is their speed and mobility is very low. And now he's just walking in here into the spine crawlers. The spine crawlers are going to mostly go down, but now the Vipers and the Locusts are here with the Mutalisks. And with Blinding Cloud, none of these units can fight back. Another Abduct on the Thor, and this Thor is going to go down. The Mutalisks are magic boxing the Thor, and now the Thor is not going to be able to fight back. And GG call by Strelok. Scarlett was ahead basically the entire game. Once she initiated that roach timing, and Strelok only had a Hellion, a full bunker of Marines, and 3 or 4 Marines outside of that bunker, and there's just too many roaches. And so Strelok wasn't playing defensive enough, wasn't able to detect what Scarlett was doing. And like I mentioned before, Scarlett wouldn't let that SCV get in there, or that second SCV to scout anymore. All Strelok knew was there was an extractor and a spawning pool, but did not see the Roach Warren. And so Scarlett was able to do significant damage to Strelok, and he wasn't able to come back. So good game. And Scarlett has been able to tie the series 1-1, and we'll have to head over to Game 3 to see who can get a 2-1 lead.